Okay, let's look at this graph. We see a vertical line here, and our directions are to write an equation for the graph. Okay, well, we see that this one does not have a y-intercept, so y equal mx plus b might not be that helpful for us. We see it does have an x-intercept. Okay, well, what we notice is for all points we could pick a few points. Okay, we could pick a few points. Let's pick the x-intercept and then maybe one above it and one below it. And just in the table of values, let's say, well, we notice that this point is 3, 0, and this point is 3, 2, and this point is 3, negative 2. So that should be enough to jog our memory that the equation of a vertical line looks different than slope-intercept form. Basically, it just shows us that x is always the same value, 3. X is always 3. We can write as x equal 3. So the equation of the line here is x equal 3. Remembering that this is a linear equation, inferring that we do have y values, but y values are all real numbers, that the value 3 for x is paired with all real numbers for y. Let's look at that one for, that's a vertical line, remember, has an equation x equal some constant. What about the equation of a horizontal line? Okay, some of you remember this quickly, others of you need a little help, so let's do the same routine we did with the other one. Let's say here's our y-intercept, and let's just get a couple of points on either side of that y-intercept. Now let's make a table and name those ordered pairs. Okay, what's our y-intercept? Well, it was negative 5. Actually, it's 0, negative 5, isn't it? 0, negative 5. Okay, what about this point here? Well, that's 2, negative 5. And what about this point here? Well, that's negative 2, negative 5. And so this should be enough to jog our memory that y always has the same value for this horizontal line. So the equation looks like y is equal to negative 5. All right? Y is equal to negative 5. Okay, let's do some work now finding the slope of a line, given some information. Okay, find the slope of a line containing points negative 5, negative 8, and 5, negative 6. Alright, finding the slope of a line containing points should remind you that you need the slope formula. The slope formula is m is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, you'll be provided that formula. Alright, now we need to label our points here if it helps you. Okay, so this is our first point. We could call it x1, y1. This is our second point. We could call it x2, y2. Okay. Now, in order to subtract y2 minus y1, we have negative 6 minus negative 8. So I encourage students to put the subtracts from the formula in before you put your values in. That way you don't forget something. So this is negative 6 and negative 8. Negative 6 and negative 8. And we already had a minus, so we know that our minus negative becomes plus. Now let's take our x values. This is 5 minus negative 5. So it's 5 and negative 5. So this minus negative also becomes plus. So now we're going to simplify here. Negative 6 plus 8 is 2. And 5 plus 5 is 10. Simplify your fraction. 2 over 10 simplifies to 1 over 5. That tells us the slope of this line is 1/5. Let's practice that again. Find the slope of the line containing these points. So again, we see we have 2 points and we want to find the slope, so we're going to write the slope formula. M equal y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And then we might label our points. This is our first point, so x1, y1. And second point, so x2, y2. And I encourage you again to put the subtract from your formula in before you put your values in. So here we now have y2 minus y1 is negative 1 minus 7. Negative 1 and 7. And our x values, 3 and negative 3. x2 and x1, 3 and negative 3. Okay, so notice here we have minus and negative changes to a plus. Okay, so here we have negative 1 minus 7 becomes 8, negative 8. And 3 plus 3 becomes 6. And now we have a fraction that we can simplify. It's negative over positive is negative, and 8 and 6 both divide by 2, leaving us 4/3. So our slope is negative 4/3. Alright, now we just wrote the slope of those lines. Let's go to write equations of lines given the following information. Okay, write the equation of the line given the following, given slope and y-intercept. Okay, slope and y-intercept. Remember, when we know the slope and the y-intercept, we can easily write the slope-intercept form of the line. Okay, and we're only going to replace the slope, the m, with our slope value here and the b. Okay, so y is equal to, replace the m with the slope information, 2x plus negative 3 from the y-intercept information. Now I would simplify that. I wouldn't leave plus a negative there. Y is equal to 2x plus a negative is minus 3. Okay, and that's the equation of the line given that information. Okay, let's write the equation of the line given this information. Okay, we're given the slope and a point which is not the y-intercept. So we have a couple of ways to go about this. We discussed 2 ways, and you did homework on 2 ways. So I'm going to show you both ways. One way is to use y equal mx plus b twice. Y is equal to mx plus b, and the first time we will plug in our m, and we'll plug in x and y values also. And that will allow us to solve for b. Alright, so that gives us y value 6 is equal to m value 2/3 times x value negative 3 plus b. So now we have 6 is equal to 2/3 times negative 3/1. Our 3's cancel, and that leaves us with negative 2 plus b. Now we need to add 2 to both sides, giving us 8 is equal to b. Now we use the slope-intercept equation again, y equals mx plus b. This time we only replace the m and b information. Y is equal to the same slope we used earlier, 2/3 x plus b is plus our 8. Alright. And remember, there's another way to show your work for that one. So let's make sure that we can show our work the other way as well. For those of you who choose to use the point slope formula. Okay, so y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. And again, you'll be provided this formula. So we replace y1 value, m value, and x1 value from these bits of information here. So y minus y1 is the value 6. The m value again is 2/3. x, this x is not replaced, minus the x value, minus here, and x value negative 3. We want to be careful here. So minus negative becomes plus. So this simplified is y minus 6 is equal to 2/3 x plus 3. Okay. Now let's distribute to remove the parentheses. Y minus 6 is equal to 2/3 x. 2/3 times 3 out to the side. Put 3 over 1. That cancels and it gives us 2. So that's plus 2. And now we want to add 6 to both sides, and that gives us y is equal to 2/3 x plus 8. And that's the same result we got using the other method. Okay, same result we got using the other method. You can use either method. You'll be provided both the slope-intercept form and the point-slope form that you can choose from. So let's practice that again. A different bit of information. Okay, write an equation of the line given the following. This time we're only given 2 points on the line. So we don't know the slope. Earlier we found the slope from 2 points, so that's our first move. Whichever way we choose to proceed from there, first we have to find the slope. So m is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And again, let's fill the subtracts in and label. This is our first point, x1, y1. Our second point, x2, y2. So y2 minus y1 is negative 1 minus 7. And x2 minus x1 is 3 minus negative 3. 3 minus negative 3, so there's a minus a negative there. So this becomes negative 8. This is 6. And we simplify that to negative 4/3. Okay, at this point all we've done is find the slope. So now we can use either method. We have the slope equal negative 4/3, and we have 2 points to choose from. Okay, we have negative 3, 7, and 3, negative 1. So if we choose y equal mx plus b and use it twice, remember first we're going to plug in or substitute for y, m, and x. So if I choose the first point value, remember it shouldn't matter which one I pick. I'm going to choose the first point value, then y is 7, and m is negative 4/3, and x, I have to pick the x value from the same place I picked the y value from, so that's negative 3 plus b. Now this allows us to solve for b. Okay, so 7 is equal to negative, this is negative times negative is positive, and my 3's cancel, so that gives me 4 plus b. Subtract 4 from both sides gives me 3 is equal to b. Now I know the b value. I can use y equal mx plus b again, and this time only substitute for m and b. Y is equal to negative 4/3 substituted for m, x, plus b would be plus 3. Alright, now that's using, remember, the slope-intercept form of the equation. Remember, I could use this information another way. So let's say that I decided to use the other method. I now know the slope is negative 4/3, and I can choose from points negative 3, 7, and 3, negative 1. And let's say I choose to use that information in the point slope form. Y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. And remember, I can choose either point for my x1, y1 values. So y minus y1, if I choose 7 for my y1 value, m is negative 4/3, x, remember I'm only plugging in or substituting for these, so x minus my x1 value is minus negative 3, so I need to simplify that minus a negative to a plus. So simplifying that gives me y minus 7 is equal to negative 4/3 times x plus 3. Now I need to distribute to remove the parentheses. Y minus 7 is equal to negative 4/3 times x, and out to the side, if I do negative 4/3 times a positive 3/1, the 3's cancel, and that gives me negative 4. Now I need to add 7 to both sides, plus 7, and that gives me y is equal to negative 4/3 x minus 4 plus 7 is plus 3. So my equation, y is equal to negative 4/3 x plus 3, notice that's the same equation we got going the other route. And remember, you've practiced both and you can choose. You don't have to demonstrate both of those. You can choose which way you like to use. Both will get you the correct result if you do your work correctly.